Oh yeah, it's time to expand your mind because here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. Amish men are actually clean-shaven prior to getting married, but are required to grow their beards after marriage. This and all aspects of Amish life are dictated by a list of written and oral rules known as Ordnung, which outlines the basics of the Amish faith and helps to define what it means to be Amish. Theodore Roosevelt was the youngest president in US history. He took office at just 42 years old in 1901, following the assassination of William McKinley, for whom he served as vice president. Owning a hamster, gerbil, or ferret is illegal in Hawaii. You're also not allowed to own an alligator, a piranha, or a toucan, but those would be a lot more rare, and why would you ever want to own an alligator in the first place, you weirdo? In 2013, Ben & Jerry's received the Compassion in World Farming's Good Dairy Award for their high-quality treatment of their cows, which includes making sure that they get regular massages. They also pay their employees double minimum wage, so it's not just the moo-moos getting the love. There's an area in France covering 39 square miles known as Zone Rouge. It's so polluted with unexploded chemical munitions, human and animal remains from both world wars, humans are prohibited by law from entering that area. There's a ghost town in Tiandishang, China that was built in 2007 that looks just like Paris. It includes a 354-foot replica of the Eiffel Tower. They also have replica Italian, German, and English towns, but they too are ghost towns. In 2006, a group of researchers in Iceland found a really old clam. In order to find out its age, instead of counting the rings on the outside of the clam, they opened it and counted the rings on the inside, ultimately killing the clam. But the clam itself ended up being 507 years old, the world's oldest animal. Former two-time heavyweight champion George Foreman is now the pastor of North Houston's Church of the Lord Jesus Christ. The 68-year-old Reverend was inspired to join the church as he himself grew up in poverty and wanted to help others after a successful career. In January of 1966, the US accidentally bombed Spain. An Air Force bomber carrying 4 nuclear weapons collided with its refueling tanker over the Spanish town of Palomares, sending the bombs screaming towards Earth. ESPN, the sports television channel, is actually owned by Disney with the majority ownership of 80%. But that's not all. Disney also owns Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel, ABC Broadcasting Company, and A&E, as well as the History Channel. In 2015, Japan lifted its 67-year-old ban on dancing that it put in place after World War II. They forbade dancing in venues without a special dance license. The law was originally put into place after the Second World War in an effort to crack down on dance halls that were often a hotbed for prostitution. The scientific name for brain freeze is actually cephalopalatine ganglioneuralgia. Brain freezes happen because the cold dilates arteries, which causes a sudden rush of blood to the brain, which causes pressure and causes pain. Rabbits actually have the ability to sleep with their eyes open. They go into a trance-like state, which is half sleep. The benefit of this is in the wild, it allows them to get away from predators in a hurry. According to Lita Proctor, the program coordinator of the National Institute of Health's Human Microbiome Project, we have enough bacteria in our bodies to fill a large soup can. That's up to 5 pounds of bacteria. Ugh. The colossal squid has the largest eyes ever studied in the animal kingdom, measuring almost 11 inches, which is roughly the same size as a volleyball. In fact, researchers believe that they may be the largest eyes that ever existed. Some sharks can live up to 100 years old. Although most of them live 20 to 30 years in the wild, some species, such as the spiny dogfish, live well beyond 100 years. Cats actually sweat through their paws. Cats do have sweat glands, but their skin is covered in fur, so the amount of cooling that the sweat can provide them is minimal. The paw pads have the most sweat glands, so they sweat there mostly. The sand tiger shark practices cannibalism cannibalism in the womb. They eat all of the surrounding eggs in the uterus until only one remains. Once they develop their embryonic teeth, they start to eat the other embryos, killing their unborn brothers and sisters. It's survival of the fittest. Researchers in the UK have created a robotic rectum for proctologists to practice their physical rectal exams. It allows medical professionals to learn without the use of real-life volunteers. I know that's much more convenient, but there's something inherently disturbing about robot ass. 32-year-old California native Joey Jaws Chestnut reclaimed his title by winning the 2016 annual Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest held at Coney Island. He wolfed down 70 hot dogs in just 10 minutes. That's one hot dog every 8.6 seconds. Scientists at Junaged University in India have extracted gold from the urine of rare indigenous breeds of cattle. They analyzed 400 gear cows and found traces of ionized gold salts that they were able to isolate, precipitate, extract, solidify, and melt between 3 to 10 milligrams of gold per liter of urine. Skunks are actually immune to snake venom. The longest tennis match in history was between Frenchman Nicolas Mout and American John Isner at the 2010 Wimbledon Championships. It lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes over 3 days and consisted of 183 games. John Isner ended up being the winner. The first occurrence of identical bird twins ever was discovered in the emu. Bears are the only mammals that don't pee or poo during the winter hibernation months, and doctors have actually studied how the bears recycle their urine to help human patients with kidney failure. Both Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez were on the TV show Barney and Friends when they were kids. In fact, the longtime friends were constantly shown together dancing and singing on screen. San Francisco uses pee repellent paint to protect public walls from bodily fluids. It causes urine to splash back at the offender. This was inspired by Hamburg, Germany, who painted all of their city walls with this repellent and saw public urination drop significantly. Alaska has the longest coastline in the United States at 6,640 miles long. The Taj Mahal in India took over 22 years to build. Construction began in 1632 and finished in 1653. It was built when Emperor Shah Jahan was filled with grief over his passing wife and wanted to create a testament to their love. Our mouths secrete approximately 1 liter of saliva per day. Reykjavik in Iceland actually heat their sidewalks and streets to keep them free of ice and snow. Since they began installing these heated roads over a decade ago, they've enjoyed significant savings from not having to spend taxpayer money on snow removal services. Bald eagles build nests that are typically around 5 feet in diameter. They often use the same nests year after year, and they can become even bigger, as big as 9 feet and weighing as much as 2 tons. A funnel cloud is only considered a tornado when it actually touches the ground. In 2005, the Vietnamese art collective group Gelatin, over a 5-year period, knitted a gigantic pink woolen rabbit with its guts hanging out. They named it Hass, meaning hare, and plopped it on a hill in the Piedmont region of Italy. It is over 200 feet long and 20 feet high. They put it there for hikers to enjoy, and it will decay by the year 2025. The Chinese softshell turtle is the first animal known to be able to pee out of its mouth. This was first discovered by researchers at the National University of Singapore, who noticed that turtles would stick their heads into puddles of water and wiggle their tongues, but they weren't drinking. YouTube has over 1 billion active users monthly. Compare that to Facebook with 1.8 billion, Instagram with 600 million, Twitter with 319 million, and Snapchat with an estimated 301 million. Scientists from Georgia State University have found that monkeys share another quality with humans. They are also susceptible to optical illusions. To test this, capuchin and rhesus monkeys looked at a visual illusion where 2 dots were surrounded by rings, but were actually the same size, and they were tricked much like many people were. A group of hippos is called a crash, a group of zebras is called a zeal, a group of crows is called a murder, a group of bears is called a sleuth, a group of apes is called a shrewdness, a group of giraffes is called a tower, and a group of emus is called a mob. In Venezuela, a liter of water costs more than a liter of fuel. Even with the sudden price hikes in 2016 of 1,329%, for 91 octane related gasoline and over 6,000% for 95 octane, gasoline still remains cheaper than clean drinking water. The oldest octopus fossil was discovered in northeast Illinois, US. It dates back approximately 296 million years. Antarctica contains 90% of all the ice on the planet in an area that's just under 1.5 times the size of the United States. The amount of ice there is staggering. In some parts, such as East Antarctica, ice averages 1.2 miles thick. But despite its thick ice, Antarctica is classified as a desert because so little moisture falls from the sky every year. According to scientists at Los Alamos National Laboratory's Lujan Neutron Scattering Center, the world's largest gold crystal was found years ago in Venezuela. It's the size of a golf ball and weighs half a pound and is estimated to be worth $1.5 million. Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump are the only two divorced men to ever be elected president. That includes more than 2 centuries worth of US presidential elections. It is illegal to die in London's Houses of Parliament. Pterodophobia is the fear of ferns. Dog blood type is different than the types found in people. In fact, there are 6 major blood types, but amazingly, 42% of dogs have the same type, which is universal. According to National Geographic explorer Zeb Hogan, the Wells catfish is the largest freshwater fish in Europe. It can grow up to 15 feet long, weigh as much as 660 pounds, and live for decades, possibly as long as 80 years. A specially designed radio-controlled Mini was used to transport javelins, hammers, shots, and discuses around the field of the London 2012 Olympic Games. The Minis are 39 inches long and can carry loads of up to 40 pounds. Sweat is actually odorless. It's only when bacteria on the skin and hair metabolize the proteins and fatty acids in sweat that it produces an unpleasant scent. Baby blue whales can consume up to 150 gallons of its mother's milk a day. That's a thirsty whale. And now you're just a little bit smarter. But as always, thank you guys so much for coming by today. Remember to come back on Monday and every weekday at exactly 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I'll have a brand new video for you. Have a great weekend. I'll see you then.